Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
This is your host, Alicia DeBrill from Insight Media. Today's guest is Mike Mireiter. He helps homeowners and businesses get more from their space. Mike and his team achieve this by not only helping the client design the perfect space, but implementing this space with a no-fuss mentality, which is key. So, without further ado, I want to introduce Mike Mereiter to the show. Hi, Mike. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Alicia. Thanks for having me on.
No, this is going to be great. So, Mike, can you just tell me a little bit about yourself and what made you decide to get into the landscaping arena?
Well, ever since I was a little kid, I was always interested in construction, and it's always been kind of like a part of my life. And I really enjoy bringing concepts to life for homeowners. So that's one of the main things that draws me to landscaping. I can create a space in somebody's backyard that they could truly be wowed with.
Nice. And you also work with businesses too, correct?
Yeah, we do commercial and residential landscaping construction.
How long have you been in the landscaping business?
I've been in business for 18 years. I started actually right out of high school, and I was in a construction trades program. In the summers and evenings and weekends, I would do landscaping.
Nice. So it's just kind of been something from day one, huh?
Yeah, early on I used to mow lawns as well, but now we just focus on primarily like the design and build service that we do.
Okay, well, and we're definitely going to get into more details on that as we go. But can you just tell me this? So tell me this, when a potential client reaches out to you, how exactly does that process work? Where do they find you? Once they do, how does that go?
Well, most people go to our website, uniquelawn.com, and they fill out a form on there. Or you can call us at 888-1884, and that's a 440 area code. The process generally starts out with us doing an initial contact with the homeowner, and we'll kind of just ask some questions to see if they had some problems or issues in the space they're trying to work in. What are their thoughts? What are their design concepts for the space? Then we kind of work a plan off of that.
So you kind of do a little bit of a warm-up and discovery, find out what the client wants, what the client's needs are, and what their desires are, and then kind of build from that conversation. Do I have it right?
Yeah, and we'll create, a lot of times it ends up being a full custom design and layout of the space. And we can do that through like a 3D rendering, or we can just map out the project on how it's going to look from like a bird's eye view.
Nice. So I know you work with clients that have like a problem area in their lawns. Maybe there's not enough space, maybe there's too much space, whatever it may be. How do you address that problem and achieve basically the perfect plan for that perfect space that makes it the perfect space? How do you overcome that?
We have a real system when it comes to lawn installation in general. It doesn't matter whether you have like a lawn that's already existing and it's dying off and you just want something nicer, or if you have like a clean slate that you're working from. We start off with doing an analysis of the area, kind of see what's going to perform the best in the soil that you have. Then we have basically a whole process on how we do our install. And that's really what will give you the optimal results. It's kind of not just a one-sided install where we show up, we put the grass seed in, and then we leave you. We'll give you the processes to follow for watering, maintenance instructions on how to care and fertilize the lawn to get it optimal growth. And it's really why a lot of our customers go with us, is because we give all that back-end support after the project is installed.
Well, that's nice. It's not a one and done, because, when you're investing in a lawn, it's a cheap investment. So having that back-end support is definitely a valuable asset for anybody hiring you, for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, definitely. I would want it for sure. So tell me this. Have you ever run into a spot where they just don't have the space? How would you overcome something like that? They want something, but the space isn't there. And they kind of have this eyesore. It's like a little patch or a little area in their lawn. Is that something you guys address and overcome?
Yeah, that's definitely a lot of cases. We'll start off, and most of the time, actually, our clients kind of just give us the creative reins to take the area and visualize it on how we would want to do it. So if you really don't have an idea, or if it's just like a tough area that you know you want something, but you don't know what you want, maybe it's privacy is an issue or just the drainage in the space might be bad. So we'll go through our processes and we'll basically, again, create a design for the space. But, a lot of that is going to change depending on whether we have like a deer concern in the yard, or if there's wet conditions, we'll try to keep certain plants out of that area, or we can try to dry the space up. So we kind of outline, what's going to be best for the area that we're actually dealing in. And once our concept's put together, then you kind of can go through and say, yeah, I like that part of it. And can we add this feature? And then, that's how kind of things evolve from, customer input and kind of our design skill set.
Okay, that's awesome. So that kind of actually brings me to the next question, which is pretty much, so what are the different types of details or ideas that you and your team are able to make your clients happy and to kind of design that perfect space? What are the different types of details and ideas that you guys bring to the table?
Well, listening to our clients, I think, is the biggest thing we bring to the table. I know a lot of people like that about us. They've said that they've worked with other people in the past and they feel like they're just not getting heard, and they want to put like this kind of cookie cutter sort of theme together that they put on every house on the whole street. So a lot of our clients want to have a unique space, and that's kind of what we aim for when we're creating. And when we do a drawing for a concept for a space, a lot of times we'll actually break those projects into phases, so the client doesn't have to take on a whole project in the single first year unless they want to. So a lot of our projects will span over like a 2 and 3 year period where our client can actually add little pieces, tweak the design, and kind of create the perfect setting that they want.
Okay. And my next question, you kind of already answered this in the beginning, but so let's just say I have a space, I'm a potential client, and I have absolutely no idea what to do with the space, a space in my lawn. Well, I know that you listen to the client, but what are some key considerations that you and your team bring to fruition when planning out the space? I mean, I know you said something about, is it wet? Is it dry? What grows there? But what are some other key contributors that you guys would basically put into the plan?
A lot of times, like our spaces, when you're landscaping, you can create privacy elements in backyards. Privacy is usually
key.
One of those. Yeah, it is key. I mean, it's nice when you want to just have a setting to relax and decompress in and not have neighbors feel like they're watching you. So a lot of times we'll try to inconspicuously create privacy in those areas, and just really the types of plants that are going to give that setting the wow factor when you walk back there and give you those sights and the smells of spring and summer.
Nice. So you take into, sight, not only what it looks like, but, the feeling that the person has when they're on their back porch or in their front lawn or whatever the case may be, really kind of take everything into consideration.
Definitely.
That's important. So, okay, when somebody decides to hire your company to create and build like that perfect space in their lawn, but I mean, let's be honest. There's a lot of people out there who do lawns, a lot of companies that do lawns, but it's a sketchy investment. Like they're not sure if it's going to be done right, and a lot of times they're disappointed. How would somebody know, and how could they be confident that your team are going to do the project right?
Well, whether you're hiring us or another contractor, always ask to see a project that they most recently installed, and I would ask to see one that is like maybe a year old. The most recent, you kind of want to see how the site was left when they were finished with the job. And a lot of times you could tell, if the yard, how all the conditions were left of the property. And then the year out is really important because it's going to show you the type of, let's say you had a lawn installed and you might have got like a cheap grass seed mix. Well, it's going to be apparent like a year out, how your lawn's performing, and also how the maintenance is being taken care of on the property. If you weren't really shown how to maintain it properly, you can't expect to get really good results out of the project.
And that kind of comes in with your coaching after the project's done too, right?
Yeah, that part takes place. And we have a whole maintenance and care guide with any landscaping that we do. And our customers are really, really loving that part of our service.
No, for sure. That's a huge investment, and it's something that you want to maintain. And so I would completely agree with that. That would be a definite bonus with hiring you guys. And I'm assuming you guys have some great recommendations too, correct?
Yeah, so we give referrals along with an estimate as well, references, and people can actually go drive by any of the jobs that we did. And our whole thought process is, kind of being transparent, showing people maybe jobs that are close to what they're looking to have done. And then sometimes we'll show them things that are a little outside of what they're doing, but just to get the comfort level of what types of projects that we can handle within scope.
Yeah, well, that's awesome because, for sure, you'd want to go around and see what you've done. And the fact that they're able to do that is definitely a key contributor when hiring somebody. So, a lot of your clients referrals, or do they come back to you?
Most of our clients will actually use us year after year for some level of work. If we do a large install, they might use us the next year to do the mulch work and the shrub trimming. And if it's like a large patio project, they might use us in a few years to come back and resand the patio and just check on everything.
Why do you think people come back to you?
A lot of it has to do with just the support we give them throughout the process. And some of our customers just say they just love the install so much and how the attention to detail that the company gave.
That makes sense. Because if you're not happy, you're not going to obviously come back and hire you again. So that totally makes sense. So talk to me about maybe one or two popular misconceptions about the products you use when you're designing a space.
I think the biggest misconception is that there is such a thing as a deer-resistant shrub. It seems like more and more these days that the deer, if they're hungry enough, they're going to eat anything. But we can try to get shrubs that are more along those lines. Or sometimes a fence is the best insulator from the deer. But I think everyone thinks that there is like a foolproof shrub. There's not really too many that they won't touch.
So if they're hungry, they're hungry.
Yeah. Another one of the misconceptions is that there's a maintenance-free outdoor living space. So we've found that, maintenance isn't really necessarily a bad word. I know it's unpleasant to have to go back and reseal a patio, but it's really what keeps everything looking vibrant and like it was installed that day, the first day.
Okay, so what do you think holds people back or potential clients back or make them uneasy about hiring maybe a landscaper or a hardscaper? What do you think the biggest drawback or I guess the biggest thing that kind of holds them back from making that investment?
It is a big investment, any landscaping that you do. And it might be, if you're doing a big hardscaping space, it might be the biggest single investment outside of the house purchase. And I think not knowing 100% what you're getting can be really hard for a customer. So our process is to go in and create the design for the space so you can actually see what you're getting and actually go over all the materials and allow you to actually see the materials in person. A lot of times we'll actually run sample pieces of the product that we're going to use to your house so you could check it against your siding color and make sure it's the color choice that you want for the project.
That's probably very important. You don't want something that clashes in your yard for sure.
Yeah.
So tell me this, what is a price point or range that somebody should expect when they're hiring your company?
We do services all over the board. So some of our projects can be in the $2,500 range. Others can go over $100,000 where we'll be at your house for a month or more working on the project. I think it's important to talk budgets when you're trying to put a design together because different budgets, allows us to use the design creativity without going way overboard or not giving you the value that you're looking for out of the project.
So when somebody's making that kind of investment and, in their lawn, and they usually get like several different bids, probably from, more than one, obviously, landscape company. So if you had one piece of advice to give that, potential client to what to look for in a landscaper, what would it be?
I would say a landscaper that's flexible to work with you, and is going to listen to your needs of what you really want to capture out of the space.
Okay, so for those who don't know what the difference is between landscaping and hardscaping, what is the true definition of that?
Well, I always like to say the landscaping is going to be all of the growing materials that you're going to put in. So it may be the bed spaces, the mulching, the plant material that goes into those bed spaces, the grass. Hardscaping is going to be more of, like in the term, it's more of your hard surface stuff, like a patio, retaining walls would be considered that. Outdoor living, we all consider that in a hardscape aspect of what we do.
Okay, so like more of a hardscape would be like if you're designing a grill or something that's physical, like brick and mortar type of thing, correct?
Yeah, something that may have footers on it, or like a hard walking surface, maybe even a deck would be hardscaping as well.
So tell me this, why did you choose to enter as like a premium provider and offer like more elite services and more go high end rather than more of the, Me Too supplier and deal in more volume? What made you go with more of the specialized landscaping?
Well, pretty early on, we like to focus on projects that fit with our company values, and quality is a big part of how we conduct business. And all of the employees that work for us share those same values. So we like to be able to get the job on time and in budget, but we're also very conscious of making sure the quality is top notch on the project. And we will take the extra step to make it there if it needs to be. If we need an extra day to finish the job, we're going to make sure that it's done right.
Okay. So what are some major differences that most people aren't aware of when choosing to have more premium work done by your company?
Well, I think the customization that you can get out of our services, you'll find you could do a lot more. And if you're wanting something that maybe you found on Pinterest or something that it was in a magazine that you're like, wow, this really just resonated well with me, I want to try to recreate something along these lines. A lot of times we'll get into some different materials. We can recreate that feeling that you get out of that picture that you had or that idea.
Nice. So right now I'm going to ask you to kind of toot your own horn. So what are some maybe common things that your clients have to say after you complete one of your premium installations? What are some things that you think that your clients, or what have they said about working with you and your team?
Well, I remember a story. I had one client in particular. They said, I have to pull you aside and tell you this story. I was watching out my kitchen window, and there was like a really complex angle that was coming in where these caps kind of needed like a very intricate cut going into them. And she said that the crew had actually cut the piece and it all fit, everything looked perfect, but they kept taking it apart and recutting it until that fit was absolutely perfect. And that story stuck with me really well. The team did an awesome job on creating the space, and the customer was blown away by how the detail that we put into the job. We always love getting cards from clients raving about the service that they received on the project. Those are always awesome to see come in.
Nice. Okay, so there's, shopping at Walmart, there's shopping at Nordstrom's. Neither is right or wrong, right? So just two very different experiences and qualities for sure. Why did you decide to be more of a Nordstrom within the industry of landscaping?
And I think it's when you go back and look at all the projects that we've completed over the years, we found that we bring more value in quality than the quantity of the work that we do. And we have a smaller team of guys, but we concentrate more on the quality and the finished product outcome than racing through to try to get as many projects done in the summer as we can.
Okay. So, because you guys do definitely more high-end elite projects, is it just because, is it more because those are more of a challenge for you and your team? Do you guys get more satisfaction out of it? What made you really hone in on the elite landscaping projects?
Well, our team, everybody is like-minded, and we like to have a project that's going to last in your backyard. We don't want to have a retaining wall that's leaning over in a year, or patio that's settling out. So I think a lot of it goes back to just kind of how we're all like-minded, and we want to see a project that's going to stand the test of time. Another reason is we have a great warranty that backs our product.
Oh, sweet.
And we don't need to use it much, so we like to keep it that way.
Yeah. Okay. So you do some kind of warranty when you go out and do one of these really big projects, huh?
Yeah, we give a full written warranty, and basically it gives everybody peace of mind when the project's finished.
That's a huge asset. It's huge. And then not only that, but you guys do the coaching afterwards. So not necessarily coaching, but the guidance to keep it up.
Yeah, the maintenance and care guide, whether it's for the hardscape space or landscape space, we would offer that guide for both of those projects.
So you've just introduced, a virtual consultation. What made you decide to add this, to the options for people to choose from?
Well, I think the biggest part in our decision to add this was everyone's schedule is so busy nowadays, and a lot of people don't have time to set a meeting up after work or on a busy weekend and wait around for somebody to show up and do an estimate and then have a hard time following back up to actually get that estimate. So we introduced this concept to give people a little bit more flexibility and freedom. You could just get right on your mobile device. You can log in through WebEx or Zoom with us and get that initial conversation going, and really kind of save yourself time and aggravation.
Okay, so when somebody takes advantage of the virtual consultation, you kind of answered a little bit, but can you go more in specific detail on what they can expect? What does that look like? I mean, do they call you first, then you set up like the initial, and then you send them some renderances? Like, how does this all work?
Well, initially you could either call into our office and you could set up an appointment for the virtual consultation, or you can go onto our website, and basically we have a few different tabs on there. You could pick a time slot that works for you, and it'll send you an automatic reminder and set everything up to schedule that virtual consultation right there on our website. So then we'll go through our initial meeting. If we feel that we need to get some additional measurements, or if we need a little bit of additional information from you, we could email most of the information back and forth. And then sometimes we'll just take a quick site visit. You don't have to be present unless you want to, and we can grab a few additional measurements outside the house that we might need. And we found that all the customers that have done it so far are loving it, and it's just really made their lives a lot easier.
No, it sounds like it. So I could just maybe give you pictures of my backyard and say, okay, I want to do A, B, or C to it. And that kind of gives you a lookout. And then if you guys need measurements, you can either ask me for that, or your team will come out and do their own. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. And it just puts more time back in your day and alleviates a lot of the issues with conventional estimates.
And how long does the estimate process typically take?
A general call will run anywhere from 15 minutes to 45 minutes, depending on how much detail you might need to go into and what type of project you're looking at getting done. If you just have some simple landscaping that you want to enhance in the front of the property, 15, 20-minute call might do it. Or if you have a more elaborate concept for maybe putting a large outdoor living space in, then we might need the 45 minutes or an hour to go through that first call.
And how long does it take from that first consultation to the time where I can kind of see what the vision is for the project? And when that happens, how does that process work?
Well, a lot of it depends on the scope. So the whole process is meant to speed up the time it takes to get you an estimate out. So we generally say less than a week for your initial estimate. But if there's a large design concept that's going into it, we like to reserve about a couple weeks to get that initial drawing back to you.
Okay. And so the initial estimate is based on obviously what you can see. What are some situations where the estimate would change?
Some people might change the material that they want to use in the project after the fact, and that could drive up the cost. Or if there was an unforeseen circumstance that did drive the estimate up, But normally we try to find all those out beforehand so we don't get any surprises. So that usually doesn't come into play too often. Our estimates are generally accurate, and you can use that for your budgeting purposes.
Okay, so your estimates are pretty spot on based on the consultation, unless there's huge changes. That's pretty cool. Okay. And is there any piece of advice when somebody's in the initial consultation that you would give them to make sure you guys are aware of that they probably wouldn't think of? So to make sure that that first estimate is as accurate as possible?
Well, if you have a house that was built after 1990, generally you'll have what's called a topo map. And that just shows like the outline of the house and the property outline and how the land lays. If you have access to one of those are great for us to see before we do the initial meeting. And you can always email those to us prior to. And if you don't have that, it's not a big deal. Generally then we'll just come out and do a quick site visit and get the measurements that we need. Another good thing that we like, if you had some pictures of something that really spoke to you about what you're trying to accomplish on the property, then if you have those, you could email those over to us prior to the meeting. That helps a ton.
Okay. So how does using this virtual consultation, besides time, how does it benefit the customer? And why would more and more customers decide to go in this direction in the future?
Really, it always comes down to time. When you're trying to schedule stuff and you got tight time frames, you have family activities or work obligations during the week, it's hard to find that there. But really, it's about speeding up on our end too to get you the estimate faster so you can make a decision and be able to get booked into the schedule for spring or summer, depending on the time of season that you're looking at doing the work.
I have one more question. This is probably one of the most important. If somebody wanted to get a hold of you guys, for you and your team to come in and do hardscape or whatever the project may be, or just really kind of help them build a space that they can come home and enjoy, how would they go about doing that?
You can go to uniquelawn.com, or you can give us a call at 440-888-1884.
Nice. All right, guys, you just heard from Mike Mereiter from uniquelawns.com. And this is your host, Alicia DeBrell from Insight Media. Until next time.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.